You're listening to Contusion Broadcasts, where music leaves a mark, and the stories behind the music hits even harder.
Artists don't become recognizable by accident. They become recognizable by structure. Up to this point, we've been building toward one idea. Songs aren't the center. Streaming measures behavior. Return matters more than discovery. And continuity is what creates return. But that raises a final question. If the artists who win are the ones building worlds, then how are those worlds actually formed? Because from the outside, it can look instinctive, but underneath that, there's a structure. We tend to think strong artistic identity just happens, that some artists naturally have a clear presence, a distinct voice, a recognizable style, and others don't. So the focus becomes, find your sound, be original, stand out. But those ideas are vague, because they don't explain how anything is actually built. If you look closely, the artists who feel the most cohesive aren't random, they're structured. There's alignment between what they express, how they sound, how they look, and what they represent. And that alignment creates recognition, not because each piece is identical, but because each piece belongs. Underneath every strong artist world, there are a few consistent layers, not as rules, but as a framework. First, there's a core emotional or conceptual center, a specific space the work comes from. Then, there's a narrative direction, themes, tensions, ideas that repeat and evolve. Then, there's a sonic language, not just a genre, but a palette. And alongside that, a visual language, something that signals identity instantly. Individually, these don't create much, but together they form something cohesive. When those layers align, each new release doesn't stand alone. It connects. So instead of asking the listener to start over, you're inviting them back into something they already understand. And that's what creates return behavior, because the experience feels stable even as it evolves. Most artists don't lack ability. They lack alignment. The sound shifts too often. The visuals don't connect. The themes reset every release. So even if individual tracks work, the structure doesn't hold. And without structure, there's nothing to return to. What changed isn't that artists suddenly need to do more. It's that the connections between what they're already doing have to be intentional. Because in a system that rewards continuity, structure becomes visible. What we're seeing now isn't just a change in strategy. It's a change in how artists function. From creating isolated work to building systems that accumulate meaning over time. At first glance, it looks like the industry is moving faster than ever. More releases, more content, more noise. But underneath that, the advantage isn't speed, it's cohesion. Because what lasts is what holds together long enough for people to return. And if there's one shift behind all of this, it's this. The question is no longer just what the music sounds like, it's what the music belongs to.
This has been Contusion Broadcasts, where music leaves a mark, and the conversation doesn't end with the song.